warm welcome to in this webinar series on LiFE program hosted by IISc EIACP. We are delighted to have you join us today as we explore the interconnection of sustainability, seagrass conservation, and women's economic empowerment in light of International Women's Day today. As you know, the LiFE program introduced by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji during COP26 in 2021 advocates for a sustainable lifestyle that prioritizes mindful utilization of wasteful consumption. This initiative, which encourages collective action to adopt climate-friendly practices in our daily lives, when multiplied across the global population, this can have a significant positive impact on the environment. And in this, if we are talking about this impact, this can be further amplified when we recognize the crucial role of women playing in this environment management and conservation. By adopting sustainable lifestyle, we can reduce our carbon footprint, conserve the natural resources, and protect biodiversity, including vital ecosystems like seagrass meadows. Women with their often deep understanding of local ecosystem and natural resource management practices are uniquely positioned to be powerful agents of change in our collective pursuit of sustainable future. So furthermore, empowering women in this crucial of sustainable development, today we'll be exploring the topic of sowing the seeds of sustainability, women's economic empowerment, and coastal seagrass conservation with our esteemed speaker, Dr. Deepthi Hebbale. I'll like to ask Gagana to introduce Professor. Please, Gagana.
Good evening, everyone. So we are thrilled to welcome Dr. Deepthi Hebbale, Assistant Professor at the School of Biosciences at Chanakya University. Dr. Deepthi Hebbale holds a PhD from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and is a leading expert in bioenergy, biofuel, and marine biotechnology. Her research focuses on sustainable solutions, particularly the valorization of biomass waste, with a strong emphasis on macroalgal biology and environmental sustainability. Her pioneering work on bioethanol production from estuarine macroalgae has earned her the prestigious Amulya and Vimala Reddy Award. Dr. Hebbale's expertise spans biomass characterization, fermentation technology, enzyme studies, and extensive marine and estuarine field surveys. She is a dedicated researcher who is focused on creating a sustainable future through innovative biotechnological solutions. I encourage all the participants to actively engage by posting your questions and comments in the chat box throughout this enriching session. So now, without further ado, let's start with our webinar. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Tulika, and thank you, Gagana. Good evening to everyone. I'll just share my screen. Is the screen visible? Is the screen visible? Hello, Tulika? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible to me. Tanuja this side.
Okay, okay. Good evening to all. So thank you so much, Tulika and Gagana, for the warm welcome. And I'll be starting with my talk today, titled Sowing the Seeds of Sustainability, Seagrass Conservation and Coastal Women Economic Empowerment. Firstly, I'll take you through what is seagrass. So you might be wondering, grass are available on the land also. How is it different from the grass that is found on the land? Is it only because it is available in the sea? Yes, seagrass is a type of a flowering plant that is mostly found in brackish or salty waters. So as you can see on the left side, this is the structure of the seagrass. So here it looks in almost like a grass that you find on the land, but the only difference is that the roots that you can find here, or the rhizome, are mostly submerged in silty or sandy kind of sand. And then they have flowering buds as well for the reproduction, and then their leaves, or what we call as blades, come in different shapes and sizes. So here on the blades, as you can see, these small yellow thorns kind, these are all attached algae, and there are many epiphytes and small animals that are associated with the seagrass that tend to become food for other higher invertebrates. So the classification of seagrasses, basically it belongs to the kingdom Plantae, and then it is a tracheophytes, has a true vascular system in it for the uptake of nutrients and minerals, and it's an angiosperm because it's a flower producing kind of a plant. And then the monocots, it is a single cotyledon, and then it belongs to the order Alcimetales. And then the reproduction happens in two ways, sexually with flowers and seeds, or asexually by horizontal growth of their rhizomes. So these rhizomes are basically roots or anchor that the plant to the substrate, that is the sand, and then the oxygen produced through photosynthesis is transported through the roots and the surrounding sediments. This is how a basic structure of seagrass looks like. So coming to where do seagrasses grow? Like I said, these are called, the name sea itself, seagrass itself denotes that it is mostly found in the sea, mostly in salty and brackish. Brackish means semi-salty waters, wherein fresh water from a river, when it meets a salt sea, there is a mixture of gradient of salinity that appears. That entire ecosystem is known as brackish waters. So in that brackish water also you can find seagrasses around the world, and typically along gently sloping protected coastline. What do you mean by gently sloping protected coastlines? So like you can see in this picture, so this is the coast, and the coast needs to gently slope down. It should not be a very steep kind of a slope. If it is a very steep kind of a slope, the continental shelf is reduced. So if that is reduced, then their seagrasses will not grow. So they require very gently kind of sloping where the continental shelf is vast, and then they can attach to the substratum and then they can grow. So basically these seagrasses photosynthesize in mostly and are found in the photic zone. Photic zones are basically the first 200 meters wherein the light penetrates your ocean, and it is lit basically. So that's where most of your marine organisms are found, in this particular zone. So this particular zone is called photic zone, and then like other, based on their light penetration, the zones are divided as mesopelagic, bathypelagic, and abyssal pelagic. So you can find organisms at different depth of the ocean as well. But whereas these are most predominantly plant-like and they require sunlight for their growth and they have to photosynthesize, that's why they're mostly found in the photic zone. And these seagrasses can live in depths of 3 to 9 feet, or that is 1 to 3 meters, and also can be found at the depth of 190 feet. So this particular seagrass species, that is Halophila discipiens, is found at the depth of 190 feet as well. So these seagrasses, just like the counterparts on the land, they spread out like meadows in the ocean, basically in the sea. So, and they resemble our grasslands. So now coming to the seagrass structure, like if you're interested in understanding the seagrass structure and you want to get to know the different kind of species that are available in this particular category, you need to understand its entire structures thoroughly. So like any other plant on the land, we know it has leaves, it has flowers, it has roots, it has stems, and a flower has different parts. Same way, you need to understand what are the different parts of a seagrass. So like I said, the leaf or the blade, they identify the leaf tip and the shape of the blade, and then the stem, and then we have nodes, and in between the nodes we have internodes, and then we have branching roots or the entire rhizomes, and we have a sheath which protects the young leaves basically. So there we have sheath as well for identification. And here on the white image, you can see that there are different types of blades or different types of seagrasses that are found. So this is the basic seagrass structure. Now, leaves are also on a special type of stalk other than your stem, and they are called petiole. Petiole also is used for identification of your seagrass. So here I have put pictures of different type of seagrasses. So here you can see the blades differ. So here your leaf margin is serrated, whereas this is more like a smooth blade. And here you can see there are leaf lamina, the lines, the serration inside the leaf that you can see. And here in the first image, if you see, there are no root hairs that are visible on this particular seagrass species. Whereas on the second one, you can see small root hairs that are present. And then also on the third one, you can see there are small root hairs. So all these different kinds of morphology of that particular seagrass helps in identification of the seaweed. So these are the identifying characteristics that one needs to keep in mind when identifying the seagrass. So coming to, I have put across some 8 different kinds of seagrass species. There are more than 60 species of seagrass recorded across the globe. I've just tried to put the different kinds of seagrass that we can record. So here, other than the Zostera species, all other species are mostly recorded from Indian coastline as well. So here you can see the different kind of shapes and the height. And then I have also tried to mention the common name for these seagrasses given across the globe. Because these seagrasses form grasslands, there are a lot of animals or invertebrates that try to find refuge within these grasses. They hide from their predators, or they try to eat up the small algae or small other fungi that are available in this particular ecosystem. So that's why you can see there is this particular Halophilia ovalis is called as dugong grass, because I'll come to what is dugong. Dugong is a sea cow which basically likes this type of seagrass. So that's why the common name is more like dugong grass. And we have dwarf eel grass, where eels tend to take refuge within these seagrasses. So that way you have different kinds of names given to it. Now coming to the global distribution of seagrasses. So here you can see number of seagrass species. So the dense coloration of different shades of greens have been given based on the number of species that is recorded across the globe. So in India, you can see nearly 8 to 12 species of seagrasses are recorded. And this particular region where the dark green has been shown, this is a hotspot for marine biodiversity, especially this entire archipelago of islands and different kind of species and varieties of marine species are recorded mostly in this particular region. And here for seagrasses, it's nearly 13 to 20 species have been recorded in this particular region. So now coming to seagrass ecosystem along Indian coast. So like I said, out of the 60 species that have been recorded across the globe, we have 14 species that are belonging to 6 genera that occur along the peninsular India and the archipelagos, that is Andaman and Lakshadweep. So here if you see, most of them are, if you might ask the question, why not West Coast doesn't have most of your recordings of seagrass species. Like I said in the beginning, the continental shelf needs to be gradually sloping. It cannot be steep. Whereas our West Coast, the coastline towards the west is very steeping. There's a immediate cut. The continental shelf is not very gradually sloping. Whereas if you see in Gulf of Kutch, the kind of mouth that is opening, the gulf that is opening, here the water enters very slowly, and the continental shelf it's very vast as compared to other state coastlines, that is Karnataka, Kerala, Goa, and Maharashtra. In Gujarat, the water recedes during high tide, enters into the Gulf very slowly during the high tide, as well as recedes also very slowly during low tide. And you can actually you can wade into the water in Gulf of Kutch, whereas you cannot do the same in the coast along the coast of Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, or Kerala. This is the most steeping kind of coastline. Whereas on the eastern side, here the coastlines are slightly sloping, gradually sloping, and then more number of species of seagrasses have recorded from India, from Palak Bay and Gulf of Mannar region. So this is this region, and also the lagoon in Chilka Lake. That there also a few species of seagrasses have been recorded. So here you can see Gulf of Mannar has higher number of seagrass species, followed by Palak Bay. Then comes Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, whereas Gulf of Kutch and Chilka have almost similar number of species recorded along Indian coast. So after understanding what are seagrasses and where they are found and what are their structures, we need to understand why are seagrasses important. Like I said, because it forms a grassland, it tends to become like a refuge place for most of the organisms from the predators and for food. So basically it supports the biodiversity. So thousands of species rely on seagrasses, and mostly the species associated with seagrass, there are two most endangered species, that is turtles and dugong, which rely on seagrasses for food. And also it supports diverse food web from herbivores that eat grasses, and then the algae to carnivores that prey on them, and of course the decomposers that consume the dead organic matter. Also helps in seagrasses also tend to become the habitat corridors, basically trying to create a connection between different habitats. Like since they grow very close towards the coast, and then we have mangrove species as well towards the coast, they tend to become like a habitat corridor for organisms to shift from mangrove ecosystem to seagrass ecosystem. And like I said, the shelter, and then they're very good in producing oxygen because they photosynthesize, and which help marine species breathe. And they also do nutrient cycling, aids in nutrient cycling by absorbing all the nutrients. So this is why seagrasses are important. Now coming to the threats to seagrasses. So the natural threats that seagrasses face are extreme climate events, like increase in sea surface temperature, and then glacier melts, and then tsunamis. And because of glacier melt, the sea level is rising, and you can see a lot of islands being submerged, and then natural erosions. And these marine organisms are also susceptible to diseases like heat stroke because of increase in sea surface temperature, and also wilting. And then they also are infected by fungi and epiphytes. So this is also one of the natural causes for threats to seagrasses. Coming to the anthropogenic, so since they are very close to coastline, and the ecosystem is more closer to coastline, the anchoring of boats or bottom trawling, or like when your sediments are removed for fishing, and then the nets are laid out on the sand for fishing, or oil spills, or harmful algal blooms, eutrophication due to which gives rise to harmful algal blooms, also can cause degradation of your seagrass. And increased sediment load also can submerge your seagrasses under the sediments, and they will not help the seagrasses to photosynthesize. And you also have few agriculture runoffs that can cause a nutrient loading into the sea, where again can lead to eutrophication. That also is a problem, wherein if harmful algal blooms are formed over the seagrass ecosystem, then they'll tend to form like a mat, where it will avoid the penetration of sunlight. Most of the algal blooms will start blooming, and they tend to form like a sheet, and they will prevent sunlight from reaching the seagrasses. So that is one of the threats as well. Coming to other threats are competition space with seaweeds, which is a marine algae, and marine algae tend to propagate vegetatively. So some of the species tend to propagate vegetatively. So if they are broken off from their ecosystem, and they can actually grow on in the seagrass ecosystem, and they can overtake this particular species. And also overgrazing by green turtles, which actually feed on seagrasses for their food. So we have seen that studies have shown that 7% of seagrass meadows are lost every year due to climate change, pollution, and coastal development. So what happens when these threats happen? And this is one of the paper which actually talks about extinction risk assessment of world seagrass species. Here they have tried to show that what are the regions which are near threatened, vulnerable, and endangered. So here you can see India is almost like in the vulnerable zone. So most of these seagrass species, because they also have like a rainforest, grassland kind of a ecosystem in the marine environment, they tend to sequester and give out a lot of services to the marine species as well as to humans. So it is very important for us to conserve these particular species that are available. So that's why these studies have been carried out. And also they have found that due to a few climatic events and pollution and coastal development, there are a lot of species of seagrasses that are declining. So this is one, the right side, the down image shows that these are the species which have been declining over the years. This is also from the same study. So here you can see along Indian coastlines, you can see around 1 to 2 species of seagrasses being declined per 10-kilometer grid. So with this, there comes a need to conserve the seagrass ecosystem, because like I said, they provide a lot of functionalities and a lot of services. So I've listed down the different kinds of services that seagrass ecosystem provides. First one is the provisioning services, where the seagrass are utilized for green manuring, roofing, and then they protect people from floods and storms. And then meadows help to form protective barriers to floods and storm by reducing wave energy. Whereas for supporting ecosystem services, they support fish habitat, and then for dugong habitat, which is an endangered species, and fish refugia. And seagrass is also noted as a haven for biodiversity, because seagrass meadows sustain endangered turtles, seahorses, manatees, and dugongs, and they're home to many species of crabs, shrimps, algae, and bacteria. And also seagrasses are provide regulating services, where seagrass is a climate is considered as a climate hero, because it stores up to 18% of world's oceanic carbon and helps in mitigating ocean acidification. And it also provides food and livelihood to people around the world, because since it provides refugia, there are a lot of fishes and crustacean and invertebrates that are found in this ecosystem, which helps in fishing for the localites or the local communities. And it sustains almost 20% of world's largest fisheries. So these are the ecosystem services that seagrass provides. So like I said, seagrass also, since it provides refugia and then food to most of the species, these four species are associated with seagrass. I've listed only these 4 species because according to IUCN status, these are either endangered or vulnerable. So here you can see the green turtle, common Cleonia midas, and this is a green turtle which actually feeds on seagrasses. And then we have dugong and dolphin, and also our other porpoise. So dugong is mostly found, actually is recorded from Indian coast along Gulf Palak Bay and Gulf of Mannar, and in Tamil it is also called as Kadal Pasu. And then along the coast of Gulf of Kutch also it is recorded, and it is called as Darya Gai. And then green turtle, of course, along coast of Orissa. So that's why it is of utmost important to conserve these seagrass ecosystem. Now coming to understanding how do researchers across the globe understand how much of seagrass are available and what is the cover and how do they map. So I've just tried to give a gist of how the sampling is carried out for seagrass and for identification. If students are listening, they can, if they are interested in taking this as their research area or study, they can do. So usually in marine survey or marine study, we tend to use a 1 meter by 1 meter quadrat. These are usually constructed using PVC pipes. So here what you do, you lay down a transact perpendicular to the shoreline when you're supposed to understand the biomass of your seagrass. So these transacts are laid out, and this can be either 30 meter or 50 meter according to your study. And then these quadrats are laid out on these transact, either in an interval, in a 5 meter interval, or in a random pattern. And then they calculate the amount of different kind of seagrasses that are there within the quadrat, and then they calculate the percentage of their cover. So this is also done with the GPS points, so that once you come back, you can overlay the GPS points and understand the different distribution of the species across that particular coastline, and which helps you map the seagrasses along your study area or the coastline. So this is basically how a seagrass assessment is carried out along the marine coastline or a sea coastline. So coming to the initiative across the globe, there are a lot of research institutes and researchers who are looking into conserving these seagrass, how to go about conserving these seagrasses, and trying to, like, protect the environment, and then try to avoid all sorts of developments along the coast of along these ecosystem. So I've taken 3 studies wherein they've highlighted in Tanzania Ocean Climate Innovation Hub. It implements nature-based solution across the country, and they are taking up seabed restoration, and they are mostly empowering the local communities, because other than bringing a mainland person and asking that person to carry out such restoration, it is always good to empower the local communities who have better understanding about that particular ecosystem, because they would have born and brought up in that particular ecosystem, and they know that ecosystem better than anyone else. So in UK, Solent Seacape project is restoring, protecting and connecting 4 critical habitats: oyster reef, salt marsh and seagrass beds, and seabird nesting sites as well. So this project is going on for seagrass conservation. And in India, Norwegian and Indian scientists and experts are working together to assess the impact of climate change on Kerala's marine coastal ecosystem, including seagrass beds and other vulnerable habitats. So how are they going about seagrass restoration? This is one of the study. Seagrass restoration is possible: insights and lessons from Australia and New Zealand. So since they have done few restoration study, I have put up this photo. These are buoys. The first one is the buoys, where it is connected with the net in order to indicate that this particular region is seagrass region, and not to get the boats or the fishing boats not to invade into this particular region. And they also have few grids or structures that are installed that can actually act as a substrate for the seagrasses to attach and grow. So you can find and this on the second row. The first picture is nursery of seagrasses, where they are cultivated offshore and then they're transplanted on the into the site. So here you can see different kinds of structures. This is a nail. The third picture from the second row. This is a nail that has been given as a support for the grass to attach and grow. So same way, different artificial materials are also submerged into the sea, so that the grass can attach themselves and grow. Like in the last image, you can see there's a net that has been provided where the sea grasses are transplanted. And then with this, they try to monitor the study and then carry out the restoration process. Okay, so like I said, in Tanzania, how they're empowering local communities in order to restore the seagrass communities, seagrass ecosystem. So after doing my PhD from a taluk called Kumta, a coastal taluk in Karnataka, I've understood that it is always better to empower the women who live along the coast along the coastline, because they have a very articulate way of understanding the ecosystem in a very sustainable manner, and then we can actually empower them by giving them small tasks. So here in these following slides, I've highlighted different kinds of tasks that can be assigned for women, not only for seagrass restoration, as a marine ecosystem conservation as a whole program. So by training women to create eco-friendly products, like we have sustainable development goals. So SDG 12 says responsible consumption and production. So women who wade into the sea in order for fishing, bivalves, or crustaceans, they will know that you have to sustainably fish. If you educate them, they would know that they will not do overfishing. And then there is SDG 5, which focuses on gender equality, wherein it's good to promote sustainable practices while empowering local women. On the left side, the picture that you see, there are 3 women who are staking out sacking. Sack is being laid out, and they have cut holes in the material so that the seagrass they can plant the seagrass through them, and the sacking helps hold the seagrass in place as it takes the root. So this is one. This is actually a Tanzania example. Whereas on the right side, you can see women actually being employed for removing the seaweed after aquaculture. After culturing the seaweeds for 45 days, the algae are removed. The algae are twined in a rope using a rope. After that, once the maturation happens, they are brought to the shore, and then they're removed from the ropes by employing all the women. Karwar fish market in Karnataka. So you can see how they are not overfished with the quantity of fishes that they have fished. You can see that it is not over quantified. It's not in huge number. Then also women can be employed for processing and post-harvest activity. So there are the marine organisms, the edible marine organisms are consumed in fresh as well as in dried form. So women can be employed there, where women frequently play essential role in processing and preserving fish. So this is also photographs that I've taken along Kagal region in Kumta, where women are seen drying the fish, and they have natural salt in them, since they are fish from the estuarine region, and then they dry out these fishes for selling in the market. So we can empower women here as well. And also this community leadership. In some coastal and fishing communities, women can take up leadership roles in managing local fisheries and promoting sustainable practices. Like each taluk can have one representative of women, and then who can be like, a leader who can lead the entire group into understanding different kinds of fishing practices. And we can also educate them with respect to climate change and what is happening, and also understand their understanding of ecosystem better in their language. So here these are also the same photos that I've captured from Kumta. So you can see a lady here who's collecting bivalves from mudflats of Agnashni estuary, which is situated in Kumta Taluk, Karnataka. And like I said, pre-processing or post-harvest processing, where women are employed in bivalve cleaning. And then you can see once the cleaning is happening, once the cleaning is done, the women go from one house to another house in selling the bivalves. And here you can see bivalves being sold at the local market. With this, we can also empower women in social and cultural roles, because many women are primary caregivers and often hold important social and cultural roles. And they also have certain traditional knowledge that can be passed down, and practices related to fishing in seafood preparation. This is another photo that I have captured from Dhareshwar, again Honavar. So here you can see these are rocky shores where oysters are attached, and here all the women are have a sickle in their hand. This is during low tide, mostly around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So they have understood which they only try to harvest oyster that are of certain size. They don't harvest oyster that are very small in size. Like you can see, this is the kind of size of oyster that they try to harvest. And you can see that they're not using any plastic bags or covers in order to store the meat that they're harvesting from the oyster. They're using coconut shell. After scraping out the coconut, the shell that is left out, this is like an afternoon fun time for these women who come on the shore and then, you know, try to collect as much of oysters as possible, and then they sell this on the road, on the market or the local market, and they try to fetch few money for their family. So this is how I feel like we can empower women, not only for one particular resources, but in conserving entire marine ecosystem as a whole. So I've tried to cover as much as possible, and I tried to give my experience while I was stationed at Kumta for my PhD work. And I've seen many women, other than that agriculture work and household work, also being part of conserving the marine ecosystem, or trying to, like, you know, I've spoken to these local women and then understand how they cook the meat and how they harvest these meat. And they also told me how they don't try to fish smaller fishes because they are still in a juvenile stage. They need to grow up to certain size, only then you tend to harvest. So these kind of traditional knowledge also help us researchers in order to better understand the ecosystem and then come up with a better management studies. So this is about it, and these are the references that I've taken for the presentation, and thank you so much. Hello. Hello.
Tulika, you are not audible.
Hello.
Yeah, Tulika, now you're audible.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your informative session. It was very interesting to learn about the world of seagrass, which includes different forms and functions and its importance in supporting the marine life. So the overview that you have given of 60 species of seagrass found globally, it encompasses in different distribution in the world, and its emphasis on the ecological services provided in food provisioning, nutrient cycling, biodiversity support, oxygen production, and also in carbon sequestration. So and also it provides a habitat for particularly some endangered species that you mentioned, like green turtles, dolphins, and dugongs, highlights their significance in maintaining the healthy marine environment. And also the concerning trend you have also shown, where seagrass is declining due to their human activities in the coastal regions. And this multiple initiatives also has been taken upon in the worldwide. And here you have suggested to highlight the role of coastal women in India and other countries in conservation of these seagrasses from the beginning of the food chain, like to collecting the fishes from the ocean to market and till the post processing or post harvesting activities, which shows their unique knowledge and understanding of this vital ecosystem and maintaining the biodiversity, and how these coastal women's social and cultural roles and their traditional knowledge contribute to maintaining their delicate balance of this coastal environment. So thank you for this very, very informative session, ma'am. There is one question, I'll read it out. So this is our question from Kumar Rajneesh. Uh, is there any limitation to harvest seagrass from water bodies for preparing food products, as they are rich in nutrients? Then next question is, how can we build ecosystem in skilling and livelihood to local coastal communities, especially women, to have livelihoods options for multi-income household for economic empowerment?
Yeah, thank you, Tulika. The first one is, across the globe, sea grasses are not consumed by human as such. There are very few indigenous tribes that they do. but they also do it very sustainably. Whereas other than that, it is only consumed by the invertebrates or other larger organisms like dugongs and turtles. So yes, of course, even for sampling also, like I said, sampling also, you do not harvest the you do not pluck out the seagrasses for the sampling. It is only for understanding the coverage, the biomass coverage. So that is we don't encourage destructive sampling in marine ecosystem. So that is question one answered. So how can we build ecosystem in skilling and livelihood? Yeah, like I said, you can empower these women in seagrass restoration, in aquaculture activities, like I showed. There are a lot of aquaculture activities that are taking place across the globe as well as in India, where they're trying to encourage more products from marine ecosystem, where women are empowered. And then other than, of course, the men venture out into the sea for fishing activities and everything. The women are mostly confined to household activities, but these women can be employed for, like I said, post-harvest activities and aquaculture, understanding how to plant these algae or seagrass, and how to maintain a nursery, and then post-harvesting processing, like cleaning of bivalves, or like cleaning of seaweeds also, for that matter, because it serves as a raw material. And then fishes, dry processing of fishes. So mostly all these industries can actually empower women by doing that, so that they can have a multi-home, multi-income household.
Thank you, ma'am. There is one more question from Gagan. Ma'am, can you enlighten us something about flowers of seagrasses and pollination mechanism in them?
So pollination, that's what reproduction. Pollination, I'm not quite sure about that, but then yes, they are flowering plant. They're not, I couldn't find much about that. But then so there are, coming back to the first question, Gagan, just a second. There are few indigenous tribes that eat seeds of seagrasses, not the leaf, but the seeds that are there. So these are very tiny seeds that these tribes consume. So they are called flowering plants, but I'm not sure about the process of pollination mechanism, Gagan.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any question further? You can post it in the chat box, or you can open your mic and you can also speak. Yes, Gayatri ma'am, you can post the question, or you can also ask. There is one question from MDS sir. Okay, one more question from Rajneesh. Thanks, madam. This presentation on seagrass was very insightful. Looking forward to have more interaction on similar subjects.
Yes, Subhash sir has raised his hand.
Subhash sir, go on mute.
You can unmute, no?
Yeah.
I am trying, but I am not able to, sir.
Okay, can you ask Professor Subhash to post it?
Yes, sir.
fact, I'm not getting unmuted here.
Sir, you can speak now.
Yeah, okay. It has been a very nice talk and so much good to hear about the seagrasses. And in fact, I was wondering whether this Uttara Kannada coast has any seagrasses compared to the east coast. West coast, where do we get seagrasses? Perhaps maybe something in Kerala side. I'm not sure. Or maybe Gujarat side, where there is a wider continental shelf. So what's the status of our Uttara Kannada or Karnataka seagrasses? One. Secondly, the seagrasses may be getting pollinated by water as agency. Just like the land grasses get pollinated by wind, not by insects, by wind. So the seagrasses may be getting pollinated by the water. So to be clarified one thing. And probably there is not much scope for seagrass ecosystem in
or questions. So the firstly, yes, west coast, because continental shelf is not gradually sloping, it is very steep. We do not find seagrasses in the coast of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Goa. Kerala to an extent little bit, yes. But Maharashtra, Goa and Karnataka, there are no recordings of seagrasses. Gulf of Kutch, yes, because it is that Gulf, no. So the continental shelf is gradually sloping.
Yeah.
Yes. So and east coast also, other than Chilka, it's again in the down south. Palak Bay and Gulf of Mannar have recordings of seagrass.
Yeah.
Yes. Sir.
Is it the reason that?
Sir.
Sir, you can speak once more.
We have a steep this depth very close to.
Exactly, sir. Yes.
Shore.
Yes, and also they don't grow like seaweeds. They don't grow attached on the boulders. They're mostly on the sand and silt. So Palak Bay, yes, Palak Bay and Gulf of Mannar has that conducive environment where mixture of sand and silt are there, which where they attach their root and they grow into that.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. It
yes,
is probably due to the split of Madagascar from west coast of India.
Correct. Yes, sir.
That there is a vertical
drop.
break.
Yes.
So we don't have that kind of continental shelves.
Yes, sir.
Within few kilometers, there may be steeper
terrain. Yes.
Underwater terrain.
Correct, sir.
Not fit for photosynthesis by seagrasses.
Correct.
Not getting enough light.
Yes, sir.
Unlike the east coast, which is not a broken edge of the continent.
Yes, sir.
So that I think there could be this reason why there's not much scope for seagrass
exploration.
Karnataka or much of Maharashtra coast.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway.
And also, yes, and also the pollination, yes, like unlike on land, it takes place in water for seagrasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now I'd like to request Dr. TVRAMACHANDRA sir to give his insights for today's session.
Thank you, Dr. Deepthi, for giving an interesting talk on the seagrass. And today we are also celebrating the World Seagrass Day and also World Women Day. Both have a linkages, and you also demonstrated that how the women can become can be empowered with this kind of the ideas, and also we have Rajneesh also with us today. Probably he can also help you in this regard. commercializing the bioethanol and whatever you did for your PhD. So you
Yes,
can
sir.
talk to Rajneesh and see whether you can take this idea from the lab to the commercial scale.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I wish you all the success in your career, and also it's nice to see you as a young faculty at Chanakya University. I think probably this is your first talk
First, yes,
after
sir.
joining this. So,
Had to
and
be.
also on the International Women's Day, you have given the talk. So
Yes,
all
sir.
this adds further to your this one. So you can. Okay, all the best, Deepthi, for interesting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I really would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to the EWRG team, IISc, TVR sir, and also thank you, Subhash sir. You made my day by being present for my talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, we come to the end of this very insightful webinar. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your extensive knowledge and passion for seagrasses with us today. And thank you to the participants also for joining us today for your active engagement throughout the session. We encourage you to keep an eye on the IISc EIACP website